Hello and welcome. Tonight, 8 suspects arrested in connection with the deadly Christmas Eve attacks on some communities of Bokos, Barkinladi and Mangu local government areas of Plateau State following intelligence reports. Troops of Operation Hadarin Daji neutralized 10 terrorists, rescued 9 kidnapped victims in Batsari and Safana local government areas of Katsina and Zamfara states. And former member representing Ahoda East Constituency 2 at the River State House of Assembly, Edison Ehie, withdraws his suit against 25 of the 27 state lawmakers who defected to the APC from the PDP.
On business news tonight, federal government partners Chinese firm to build a new steel plant in Nigeria and construct military hardware at the moribund Ajaokuta steel plant.
On sports news tonight, Confederation of African Football CAF announces a 40% increase in prize money for the winner of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, with the champions to receive a record $7 million.
And from Abuja, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria corroborates NNPC Limited's position, says there is no plan to hike price of petrol to 1,200 naira.
And in international news from London, the UK's Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton are both among high-profile figures named in US court papers detailing connections of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
At last, the chicken may be coming home to roost for those behind the heinous attacks in some communities of Bokos, Barkinladi and Mangu local government areas of Plateau State on Christmas Eve. This comes as 8 of the suspects have been arrested in connection with the violence, which claimed the lives of about 200 persons. Police spokesperson in the state, ASP Alfred Alabo, made this known in Jos, adding that the suspects were apprehended at various locations following intelligence reports. Meanwhile, the Catholic Commission has donated relief materials to persons displaced as a result of the attacks, while calling for more interventions. We'll definitely have more on that story. But moving on now, in Bauchi State, the police have officially handed over 7 children who were reportedly stolen from Bauchi and trafficked to other parts of the country to Governor Bala Muhammad. According to the Commissioner of Police, Awal Muhammad, the children were sold for amounts ranging from 300,000 to 400,000 naira. Our correspondent, Hajara Aliyu, reports.
7 children, aged between 3 and 8, were discovered in Kano and Anambra states after they went missing in Bauchi between 2016 and 2023. The syndicate group involved in the alleged trafficking of these children was apprehended by the Kano State Police, who have since transferred the case to the Bauchi State Police Command. Here at the Government House, the police are formally handing over the rescued victims to the state governor. Their parents, who have been identified, are also present at this meeting, except for one of the children whose parents are yet to be found. The victim is now 8 years old, and according to the police, she was taken when she was barely 1 week old and sold for 380,000 naira.
There's going to be a lot of movements to Anambra, to Lagos, and to Adamawa in furtherance of this, because we wanted a situation where we would checkmate and close all gaps in the investigation so that they will not get out of it. Because the other person, unfortunately, sir, he has been caught up with this kind of thing sometime, I think, in 2014 or thereabout.
The governor is saddened by this development.
NAFDAC should be able to work very hard, because this state has shown that it is the center of the syndicate. And if this thing is not nipped in the bud, it is capable of bringing very serious suspicion and mistrust between the different people of Nigeria, and even touch on the federation, because it is very unacceptable for people to be stolen and be sold and be changed their genealogy, their linguistics, their faith, everything changed just because of money.
He pledges to provide 1 million naira each in support of each child's education and cautioned parents to take on greater responsibility.
She was just sent outside to check if the shop was open. So from there, she did not come back. So after 5 minutes, we did not see her. Then her mother go outside and check. She did not see her.
9 out of the 10 suspects have been publicly paraded.
I didn't collect anything. I didn't have any transaction after that, the first one with her.
Did you give him 4? Yes, not only once. It's 6 times that I gave him. 480 for five boys, and then 1 girl, 450.
As others reunite with their parents, the little girl whose parents have not been found will now be under the care of the state government. The Bauchi State Governor recently signed the Child Protection Law and is preparing to commence its implementation. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Troops of the Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Hadarin Daji have neutralized 10 terrorists and rescued 9 kidnapped victims in Batsari and Safana local government areas of Katsina State. The troops also recovered arms and ammunition, as well as mobile phones and other communication gadgets, military uniforms, and 4 motorcycles used by the terrorists. A statement by the Force Information Officer, Operation Hadarin Daji, Captain Ibrahim Yahaya, explained that the feat was recorded yesterday during clearance operations commanded by the General Officer commanding 8th Division Nigerian Army, Major General Godwin Mutkut. Similarly, on the same day, troops of Operation Hadarin Daji operating in Zamfara State rescued 9 kidnapped victims made up of 5 women and 4 babies who were abandoned by the terrorists as they fled from the troops at Dansadao and Dandala villages in Maru local government area of Zamfara State. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army says it will investigate and prosecute fraudulent candidates of the ongoing 86 regular recruits intake who were caught attempting to shortchange indigenous candidates of Lagos State through dubious means. A viral video on social media showed some of the candidates who were involved in the fraudulent recruitment. The Director of Army Public Relations, Major General Onyema Nwachukwu, made known the decision to punish the culprits in a statement. According to him, the arrest of the fraudulent candidates is a result of the commitment of the Army in upholding a transparent and credible recruitment process in line with its core values of integrity and fairness. Back to our lead story, where we told you that at least the chicken may be coming home to roost indeed for those behind the heinous attacks on communities in Bokos, Barkinladi and Mangu local government areas of Plateau State on Christmas Eve. Well, this comes as 8 of the suspects have been arrested in connection with the violence, which claimed the lives of about 200 persons.
The redeployment of Special Operations Squad by the police has started yielding results with the arrest of some suspects in connection to the Christmas Eve attacks in some communities of Plateau State that left over 200 persons dead, several others injured, and over 10,000 persons displaced.
Concerning the Inspector General of Police deployment, we have been we are getting tremendous success from that process. It will also interest you to know that 7 persons, in fact, as at the last count, there are now 8 of them under investigation in our custody, and they have been moved to the State CID, where the AIG Zone 4 and the Commissioner of Police are overseeing the affairs of the operation and also the investigation. And concerning the people going back to their villages, it is not that we only restore normalcy. We restore normalcy and we are escorting people back to their village.
This is one of the camps hosting over 1,000 displaced persons in Bokos at the Justice, Development and Peace Caritas. A commission in the Catholic Church responsible for providing assistance to people affected by natural and human disasters is here to provide succor to the IDPs.
Our intervention today is to actually support these people, cushion the effect of the pain of what has happened. Now, the materials that we are given today, we are given rice, we are given beans, we are given maize, we are given gari and sugar, so that it can be able to help them settle down while in this IDP camp. We hope that a bigger intervention by the support.
Bishop of Pangshin Diocese admonishes the displaced persons not to seek revenge but extend love to their neighbors as government continues to provide necessary intervention and security for their resettlement.
We have always been telling our people, it is only God that will revenge. We don't go out to revenge, we forgive. When you forgive, it's not as if you are actually a coward. You are actually someone who knows the truth. And that is the man who has a large heart. When we forgive, God will actually listen to us. We pray that there may be peace again in our land so that people can go back to their farms.
With the arrest of some suspects involved in the attacks and redeployment of security personnel to the affected areas in the 3 local government councils, the displaced persons say they are banking on government to fulfill its promises of providing succor and facilitate their return to their ancestral homes.
Nigerians are beginning the year 2024 with the hope of enjoying the benefits of the economic reforms that were initiated by President Bala Muhammad in 2023. Some economists are projecting a harsh first half of the year and believe that relief will come in the second half only if the right steps are taken by the government. To begin our series looking at the task ahead of the government in 2024, our business correspondent, Ini John McQuarrie, shares the view of some economists on what could be done to handle Nigeria's economic headwinds.
2024 is upon us. Unfortunately, a new year does not automatically signal a more prosperous year. And so, the realities of 2023 still hold, such as headline inflation at 28.20% for November 2023, from 21.82% in January 2023. Food inflation rose to 32.84% for November 2023, from 24.32% in January. This translates to higher prices of staple foods. In 2024, the Food and Agriculture Organization expects Nigeria to see about 26.5 million people grappling with high levels of food insecurity, but not if the government fulfills its promises.
If inflation is at 30%, food inflation is at 32%, you need to intervene to reduce money supply saturation. You need to increase interest rates, and you need to make the economy much more productive. This is about productivity. It's not just about interest rates. Interest rates increasing will not necessarily increase productivity. It's how you utilize the resources, how you optimize the resources, how you collaborate between the state, federal government, the government and the private sector.
Household spending hit 61.08 trillion naira in the first half of 2023, and that's compared to 57.08 trillion naira in the first half of 2022. A slight growth of the gross domestic product at 2.54% was recorded for the third quarter of 2023, and that's higher than 2.25% in the third quarter of the preceding year, 2022. The International Monetary Fund is projecting a 2.9% growth for 2024. World Bank sees it at about 3.3%. Economists say any impactful growth requires structural and intentional reforms.
Transportation cost is a huge factor. Extortion on the roads for the trucks that haul goods around Nigeria, food is a huge factor, and it contributes to food inflation. Diesel is also a huge factor. So if we tackle the fact that we need decentralized ports to reduce the cost of hauling goods from the states where you have seaports to the states where you don't have seaports, we tackle energy prices, convert trucks, haulage trucks to CNG, convert trucks to biodiesel, and then work on reducing the cost of diesel in Nigeria by, refining your own diesel in Nigeria, you begin to see the energy impact on food prices begin to taper.
A bright light shines in the country's equities market. It resumed 2023 trading at the market cap of 28.997 trillion naira, but closed the year at 40.917 trillion naira. Already in 2024, the market cap has surpassed 42 trillion naira. Analysts believe the bull will keep dominating this year, driven more by entrance of foreign investors. Total foreign transactions increased by more than 100% to 71.37 billion naira in November of 2023 compared to September. Optimism is the sentiment at the stock market, but that cannot be generalized as Nigerians await the benefits of economic reforms initiated by the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. Imi John Mekwa reporting for Channels Television News.
In part two after the break, we have more on the task ahead of the government in 2024, plus former member representing Ahoda East Constituency 2 in the River State House of Assembly, Edison Ehie, withdraws a suit against 25 of the 27 state lawmakers who defected to the APC from the PDP. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 8 suspects arrested in connection with the deadly Christmas Eve attacks on some communities of Bokos, Barkinladi and Mangu local government areas of Plateau State following intelligence reports. Troops of Operation Hadarin Daji neutralized 10 terrorists, rescued 9 kidnapped victims in Batsari and Safana local government areas of Katsina and Zamfara states. Former member representing Ahoda East Constituency 2 at the River State House of Assembly, Edison Ehie, withdraws a suit against 25 of the 27 state lawmakers who defected to the APC from the PDP. And the Islamic State militant group claims responsibility for the 2 explosions that killed scores of people during the memorial of late Iranian top commander Qasem Soleimani. Staying with our focus on the task ahead of the government in 2024, earlier we spoke with an economist and CEO of Flame Academy and Consulting Limited, Mr. Orji Udemuze. We started by asking him to give us his score of the performance of the economy in 2023.
The Nigerian economy didn't do quite well in the year 2023, and we all expect that this year is going to be better. We're still struggling around the GDP growth of less than 5%, somewhere around 3%. And that's not good for this economy. We expect the Nigerian economy to ramp up its growth to back to above 6-7%. I'm very happy that the president is looking at a 7 to 8 year plan of a GDP of $1 trillion. And to achieve that, we can't be moving at the rate we're moving right now. So there's clearly a lot of room for improvement in our productivity and in our resource deployment and utilization in Nigeria.
All right, in 2023, the president declared a state of emergency on food security. Tell me, how would you say that made a difference, and what do you think can be done to get that improved on in 2024?
Yeah, it's one thing to declare a state of emergency. It's another thing to bring about the appropriate fiscal policies and the proper spend and programs that will ramp up productivity in that sector to avoid food crisis in Nigeria. It's very important at this point that the people, responsible ministers and government officials pay quality attention to that sector. Agriculture is the mainstay of our economy, despite all the noise we make about the oil and so on. If we harness that sector very well, we'll not just produce enough food for Nigerians, but we'll have much more than enough to export. Currently, the capacity of that sector is very low. We're still doing largely subsistence farming. We need to get to a point where we can do a lot of post-harvest technology and be able to harvest produce, manage them well, store them, process them, and be able to provide various options for Nigerians, as well as also export what we can to the rest of the world.
Now let's talk about the monetary and fiscal policies. How can that be better coordinated in the year 2024? What are your thoughts?
Monetary policy is a very tough one in Nigeria because over the years, we have been trying to solve all our problems, focusing mainly on monetary policy. That's how we have got our CRR so high that lending to the real sector has become very costly. In Nigeria today, loans are going out from commercial banks at above 30%. That's not good for an economy that wants to grow drastically high, to become a major player in the world. So monetary policy has been abused because the fiscal angle to resolving our issues have not been properly managed. The central bank has, become almost the alpha and omega of our economic policy making and management and the coordination, and that's not healthy for us. We need to see fiscal authorities taking, great steps to ramp up our revenue, boost productivity in various sectors apart from oil and gas, so that we will stop wasting the dollar that we get, and also be able to make more through all these means. Nigeria's inflation, which is a big issue, which may not even taper very well in this year, is not the kind of inflation that we fight. That's the demand pull inflation. Inflation is not going on in Nigeria because we all have too much money in our pocket. It's happening because we are importing much, much more than we export. And the dollar we need to import is not there. And therefore, because of the scarcity of the dollar to import, our import is getting costlier and costlier and costlier. Even producers in Nigeria import raw materials from abroad. So in the medium to long term, we have to address the issue of dollar liquidity, which has to do with, focusing less on the oil export and finding how we can do a lot of non-oil export, agri export, solid minerals export, and thereby being able to have enough external position to strengthen our currency. So that this free fall we see in Naira from about 500 Naira to $1 about some months ago to now 1,200 we go. And with that kind of solution, we find that the monetary policy managers may have some breath of fresh air.
All right, Mr. Flynn.
Find support from fiscal lever to handle inflationary trends in the country.
All right, Mr. Orji Udemuze, CEO Flynn Academy and Consulting Limited, we do appreciate your thoughts. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for inviting me.
To River State now, where the former member representing Ahoda East Constituency 2 in the State House of Assembly, Mr. Edison Ehie, has withdrawn his suit against 25 of the 27 lawmakers who defected to the All Progressives Congress, the APC. Amid the political crisis in Rivers and in the aftermath of his emergence as Speaker of a group of 4 lawmakers in the House, Mr. Ehie had declared vacant the seats of 25 of his colleagues for defecting from the PDP to the APC. The Martins Amewale-led group in the House, however, continued to hold sessions, prompting Mr. Ehie to file contempt proceedings at the River State High Court and Port Harcourt, challenging their sittings. But in the turn of events, Mr. Ehie resigned his position and membership in the House of Assembly following the peace deal reached between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. When the matter came up for hearing before the court today, the counsel to the claimant informed the court about a notice of discontinuance filed by his clients as part of the deal to end the political crisis. The judge thereafter struck out the case. Let's head to the nation's capital now, where Gloria Mizuke is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Great to see you again, Gloria. Over to you.
Many thanks, Ayo. Well, here is some cherry news, as Nigerians may now feel some relief regarding the reported plan to hike the pump price of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol. This is because the National Vice President of the Independent Marketers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Hamid Fashola, says there is no such plan. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited had earlier debunked reports that it planned to increase the price of petrol to 1,200 naira per litre. Mr. Fashola made his own clarification when he appeared on Channels Television's Sunrise Daily.
We don't have plans to increase weapon price. There's no basis for that for now. And equally, there's no signal from NNPC that it should increase. So we cannot do that on our own, except NNPC come out and say, okay, we are going to increase pump price. So on our own, there's nothing like that. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to public, to stop panic buying, And there's nothing like that. It's just a rumor.
In other stories, the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, Governor Inuwa Yahaya of Gombe State, has emphasized the importance of effective collaboration between the federal and state governments towards ensuring food sufficiency in the country. He was speaking after a meeting with the president at the presidential villa. President Bola Tinubu also met with Governor Umar Bago of Niger State and Governor Umar Namadi of Jigawa State. Our State House correspondent Lanre Lasisi reports.
God, in gratitude.
On the first day of 2024, President Bola Tinubu addressed the nation in a New Year broadcast. He assured Nigerians of his administration's determination to address challenges being faced across the country. He paid specific attention to the issue of food sufficiency.
To ensure constant food supply, security, and affordability, we will step up our plan to cultivate 500,000 hectares of farmland across the country to grow maize, rice, wheat, millet, and other staple crops.
The issue was emphasized as several governors met with the president. The governor of Gombe State, speaking with correspondents after meeting with the president, made some elaborations on the issue.
We have to understand that we must modernize. There is need for machine tools. There is need for processing. Luckily, Gombe is among the states that have been approved to be part of the special agri-processing zones. And we've set up an industrial park where we can, process all the raw materials, all the agri-produce that we have in the state. I think if all states will key in and work in tandem with the federal government, we shall easily reach the destination.
The president had also referred to the launch of 120,000 hectares of land in Jigawa State as part of the National Wheat Development Program. The governors of Jigawa and Niger State, who also visited the president, say food sufficiency is on the horizon.
We definitely export wheat. We are doing the first one. And then after this one, we are going for rice. And the next one, we are going for wheat. That's how the cycle will continue to go. And that will definitely, we're going to have food sufficiency, and we'll definitely have surplus to export.
If you listen carefully to the Mr. President's New Year's speech, you will have seen the emphasis on agriculture and also the 500,000 hectares the government is planning to farm this 2024. And Niger State has provided itself as a pilot state for that project, and that we are also ambitious to also match with the federal government 500 for 500.
The governors want farmers to embrace modern techniques in order to boost their productivity. From the presidential villa, Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, federal government partners Chinese firm to build a new steel plant in Nigeria and construct military hardware at the moribund Ajaokuta steel plant. But that's on Business News. Join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, says the federal government has released 50 billion naira, which is 50% of the FCT's supplementary budget for the completion of ongoing projects, among others. The minister made the disclosure during an inspection of projects in Abuja, where he also spoke on measures to address the security situation in the nation's capital. Our correspondent, Kumbi Abuluwadi, reports.
The Federal Capital Territory is like a project site. Major roadworks are ongoing in different parts of the city. The FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, is not leaving anything to chance as he embarks on the inspection of some of the projects.
If you've been there, you will see, and doing some keep walk.
His first stop is the Asokoro Interchange 1, which is popularly known as the Powerhouse Junction. Next is the second interchange, which is the expressway leading up to the upper roundabout. Then the FCT Minister proceeds to inspect the Vice President's residence and the N20 road, Katampe. After the inspection, the minister explains how his administration is finding the projects.
Like you can see, these are quality projects which we are very satisfied. And we believe with the arrangements the contractors have made, put in place, these are things that in the President's 1 year in office will be commissioned. I am happy to announce to you that the Minister of Finance have been able to release 50% of the national supplementary budget. The supplementary budget, as approved by National Assembly, was 100 billion, and 50% of that have been released, which is 50 billion. And I've already, this afternoon when I went to office, and directed the Permanent Secretary that immediate payments should be made to all the companies who are carrying out projects in their city.
He also explains the ministry's plan to install CCTV cameras to improve security in the city.
We have said, based on the financial implications, that yes, it is necessary for FCT to also embark on the CCTV security system, but that has to be done in conjunction with the Office of National Security Advisor and the Director General of the State Security Services. But once we get the financial implications, then we will not be able to know when we can embark on that project. But it's a very, very important project to carry out.
The minister is confident that most ongoing projects will be completed by May 2024. From Abuja, Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
To infrastructure development, the Minister of Works, Mr. Dave Umahi, has emphasized the ministry's commitment to quality contracts, promising amendments for new projects and termination of non-performing contracts. Mr. Umahi stated this at a meeting with directors and management staff of the ministry in Abuja. He expressed concern over internal debt and highlighted the importance of transparency in the pricing of projects to maximize available resources.
There are a number of jobs they say they are not performing. I send it to you. We'll discuss it today. But how can these contractors be, saying that there are problem of compensation? When we all came together, we say, okay, don't worry about compensation. Just follow the existing route. Mill it, keep it there for us, put stone base, put asphalt. So why are they not working? So you have to see that some of the contractors do not mean well for this country. They just look for the excuse to swallow the money they collected, but it will not work. So we have to tackle them. And then the ones NNPC complain that they are not performing, we need to look at it and invite the contractors. A director that will be absent will bring the deputy to me. And if there is something urgent and pending, then let me know that the deputy is in the know. If it's not, let him tell the deputy my presence. That's how to work. One person can hold this ministry to ransom. One person. If Kuti is not at work, or Awose is not at work, or DPP is not at work, or human resources, or legal, or finance, or farm secretary, any of them that is absent from work, they can be nothing can move it.
To education matters, the federal government is promising to provide quality education that merges knowledge with skills acquisition. This is according to the Minister of Education, Professor Maman Tahir, who maintains that such development will enable youths secure skills that will guarantee sustainable income, even without proceeding with their education, if they choose to. He stated this while on a working visit to Yola, the Adamawa state capital.
The Minister of Education, Professor Maman Tahir, along with other officials of the ministry, are here at the General Murtala Mohammed College, Yola, to inspect some of the ongoing projects in the school. Here, the project supervisor gives a progress report on the project.
You can see the quality of the work. And as I told you earlier, the project now is just 5 weeks old. On or before end of this month, by the grace of Almighty God, the work will be over.
The construction of these additional blocks in the college is part of the federal government's recent efforts to revamp vocational education in the country.
The federal government, the president has also set out, as you know, deliverables for ministries. And Part of the education is intended to revamp the system, as I said, bottom up. And then because of our concern in having students that have knowledge beyond numeracy, well, improve their numeracy and literacy, because even that one is an issue, but go beyond it to ensure that when a child who finishes secondary school, JSS, reads, he understands what he's reading. He can interpret the knowledge therein. And then he can, down the road, also acquire some skills. This integrated school that we are talking about now, which is what this building actually symbolizes. Right across the country, we have them. So we are set to rejig and reset the entire education system.
The minister also gives the assurances of the government to review the curriculum of learning in these vocational schools to make them more competitive.
So that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo.
Many thanks, Gloria. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, says legislative representation and constituency projects are two critical components of a functioning democracy, especially in a representative system of government. Honorable Tajuddin stated this during the inauguration of the 484-bed International Students Hostel at the University of Lagos. He also commissioned 4 other projects, all of which were initiated by the Chief of Staff to the President, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, in different parts of the state.
It's day 2 of project's inauguration, facilitated by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, and Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, in Lagos, to unveil the infrastructure edifice provided for the people. One of such facilities is the International Students Hostel, constructed for the University of Lagos to help address accommodation issues.
With a student population of over 60,000 and current bed spaces less than 10,000, we are especially adversely impacted. And this has adversely impacted our student experience and our ability to expand globally and attract international students to the university.
The former Speaker of the House of Representatives goes down memory lane, highlighting his university days in the same institution.
My story also began here at this university. On this campus, I made friends who continue to play important roles in my life. I learned and acquired that education that allowed me to become a lawyer here at home and abroad. On this campus, I went from being a young man with ambitions to a young man with a plan. I remain very fond of and incredibly proud of this great institution. This 484-bed hall of residence we have gathered here today to commission and to dedicate to the benefit of this institution and the generations that will continue to pass through this campus adds to that long tapestry of joint and continued effort that has sustained this great institution, and at the same time honors the work of the visionaries who came before.
And for the current Speaker, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila is a leader that has served the people passionately for over 20 years.
He's a rare person. I'm sure there may not be too many people like him in this generation, but it is our prayer that the future should emulate the good examples he set while in the National Assembly and to do better.
The National Open University Surulere campus is the next project handed over for easy access to learning. And the next stop is the newly constructed Bode Thomas Police Station. That's not all. A mini stadium is also provided for the people at Orile Koka Abuja LCDA, Surulere.
I want to thank every single member of this constituency, from the ESCO to the citizens of Surulere too, for the support you have given me. Out of this stadium, many stars shall evolve.
The reconstructed Randall Avenue, also in Surulere, is the final project handed over to the people.
Business News with Melinda Akilami is up next.
Many thanks, Ayotunde. Welcome to Business News. The Minister of Steel Development, Mr. Shuaibu Audu, says Nigeria and China are set to build a new steel company in the country and construct a military hardware at the moribund Ajaokuta steel plant. According to a statement by the ministry, the move follows a visit by the minister and top government officials to the Luan Steel Holding Group in Hefei and Guangzhou regions of China. The minister also mentioned that an operational steel industry is being created in order to attract billions of dollars through foreign direct investments into the country, open up the economy, and create thousands of job opportunities, especially for the teeming youth. Business activity in Nigeria expanded for the first time in 3 months in December 2023, despite rising prices, and that's according to a new Purchasing Managers Index data released by Stanbic IBTC Bank. In its latest monthly PMI report, the headline index rose to 52.7 in December from 48.0 in November, and that's the highest in 6 months. Further analysis showed that the private sector recorded renewed growth in both output and new orders. At the same time, the final month of last year saw fresh expansion in business activity, while confidence level fell to its lowest level in the 10-year survey. Inventories rose for the 9th month at a solid pace, and this came as the rate of inflation jumped due to weak Naira exchange rate and higher fuel prices. There was also a slight increase in the rate of employment, but it was the weakest since August 2023. However, the Stanbic IBTC PMI report shows that business confidence outlook for 2024 will continue to wane. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission says it's working to cut the cost of oil production to about $20 a barrel from its present cost, which stands at $25 to $40, by providing incentives to oil producers. According to the regulator, the 2024-2026 action plan would direct development of oil assets to areas less prone to theft and vandalism, as well as provide support for alternative crude oil evacuation routes. Meanwhile, the Commission will set up a framework for crude oil and gas transportation and handling costs based on a standard tariff and implement an open access regime for upstream oil and gas pipelines. The governor of Osun State, Mr. Ademola Adeleke, has harmonized the multiple taxes and levies collected by different government ministries, departments, and agencies into a single bill. The governor's new initiative was informed by the need to put an end to the challenges of multiple taxation. A statement signed by the governor's spokesperson, Mr. Olawale Rashid, says the new initiative allows for easy and convenient payments that can be in equal or unequal tranches. He also mentioned the harmonized bill certificate will be issued automatically after completion of payments. The NGX still maintains an upbeat mood for a third consecutive session. Investors in the domestic market have been making gains in the last 3 days, and Willie Bong has the numbers.
Thanks, Melinda. When I checked in on the markets at intraday, I did note that the market may very well cross the 78,000 points. And voila, here we are. A standing performance today. The market rose by 0.62% as the all-share index hit another high. The bull is simply raging in this first trading week of 2024, and it took on a face today. MTN Nigeria, the market giant's share price appreciated by 7 naira 50 kobo to close at 271 naira 50 kobo. Other key sectors also matching the same energy in the markets. We're seeing the banking, consumer goods, oil and gas, all in the green. And this is a classic case of no one left behind. And sentiments are still super positive in the markets as 47 stocks recorded gains, with Wema Bank in the lead against 22 losers. At this rate, the bear sure has a long way to go to catch up with the bull. But don't take my word for it. Will Ibong? signing out.
That's Business News. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Thanks, Melinda. The Islamic State militant group has claimed responsibility for the 2 explosions that killed scores of people during the memorial of late Iranian top commander Qasem Soleimani. A statement from the militant Sunni Muslim group says 2 Islamic State members had detonated their explosive belts in the crowd at a cemetery in the southeastern Iranian city of Kerman for the 4th anniversary of Soleimani's death. Iran had earlier blamed the explosions on terrorists and vowed it will respond harshly. Simon Pusey has more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The UK's Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton are among high-profile figures named in US court papers detailing connections of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The newly released records form part of a case against Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's girlfriend, who has been jailed for helping him abuse girls. But the documents so far unveil no major new allegations about Epstein, nor revelations about his associates. Prince Andrew is accused of groping a woman, which he denies. Other names in the documents include the singer Michael Jackson and magician David Copperfield, although no wrongdoing is alleged. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has vowed a harsh response to a bomb attack on crowds marking the anniversary of Qasem Soleimani's assassination by the United States. The attack in Kerman in southern Iran killed 84 people and wounded many more. The death toll was revised down by the head of Iran's emergency services from an earlier figure of 95. No group has yet claimed responsibility for the attack. President Ebrahim Raisi's political deputy Mohammad Jamshidi blamed Israel and the United States. However, the US said it had no indication that Israel was involved and dismissed any suggestion that Washington had any role to play. A man suspected of stabbing South Korea's opposition leader has been formally arrested on charges of attempted murder. The man in his 60s, surnamed Kim, was caught and taken into police custody immediately after the attack. The politician Lee Jae-myung is out of intensive care. Lee was stabbed in the neck with a camping knife in the southern port city of Busan. The assailant allegedly posed as an autograph seeker. Chinese state media says 5 people in a Chinese town near Myanmar have been wounded by stray artillery shells from across the border. A video circulated on social media showed one person lying on a pavement as people shouted, "Call the police." 5 people in Nansan, a subtropical town near Myanmar, were taken to hospital after being wounded by the stray shells. It happened as fighting between Myanmar's junta and rebels persisted despite talks. Ukraine and Russia have announced their first exchange of prisoners of war in nearly 5 months, with more than 200 freed by each side. Sides, complex negotiations involving mediation by the United Arab Emirates allowed the swap. Russia's defense 148 military personnel had been handed over by Ukraine. Kyiv said it had brought home 230 people, 224 soldiers and 6 civilians in what it said was the largest documented swap of troops so far. Sierra Leone's ex-president Ernest Bai Koroma has been charged with 4 offences, including treason for his alleged role in a failed military attempt to topple the government in November. The court's decision could escalate tensions in Sierra Leone, coming after the attempted coup and contentious election in which President Julius Maada Bio was re-elected for a second term in June 2023. And an Oklahoma teenager is believed to have become the first human player to beat Nintendo Classics video game Tetris 34 years after its release.
Oh my God!
Ellis Gibson posted the moment he reached level 157, causing the game to crash.
Yes!
It only took 13-year-old 38 minutes to beat the game. Gibson reached level 157 when the game crashed. Previously, it had only been achieved by artificial intelligence. intelligence.
He was the first in the world now to actually beat the game of Tetris. Blue Scooty, that's an American Tetris player, and he's 13 years old. He essentially made it all the way to the game just crashed. It was deep.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Well, many thanks indeed, Simon. In the world of sports, the winners of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire will receive a record $7 million. Now, that's a 40% increase compared to what Senegal pocketed for winning the last edition in Cameroon 2 years ago. The Confederation of African Football has also announced earlier today that the runners-up will receive $4 million, while losing finalists will get $2.5 million each, and quarter-finalists $1.3 million. Club football now, Eric Ten Hag says he has held very positive talks with Jim Ratcliffe when the under-fire Manchester United boss met the club's new minority stakeholder this week. The British billionaire has been in Manchester for a series of meetings with club staff, including Ten Hag, who has been heavily criticized during a troubled second season in charge. Ten Hag is under intense pressure after 14 defeats so far this season, but the Dutch coach says his first contact with Ratcliffe went well. In tennis, Rafael Nadal's comeback from injury gathered pace as he cruised into the Brisbane International quarterfinals with an aggressive 6-1, 6-2 thrashing of Australian Jason Kubler. Played in hot and humid conditions on Pat Rafter Arena, the Spanish great took an hour 23 minutes to see off the Australian. The women's draw, Latvia Janela Ostapenko ended Karolina Pliskova's title defense when she downed the Czech star 6-4, 4-6, 6-3 to book a quarter-final against Victoria Azarenka. The 26-year-old needed assistance from the trainer during the third as she struggled with the heat and humidity, but she managed to recover enough to overcome Pliskova in 2 hours, 13 minutes. And that's Sports News Tonight. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Ayotunde.
Thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. The police in Jos, Plateau State today said 8 suspects have been arrested in connection with the deadly Christmas Eve attacks on some communities of Bokos, Barkinladi and Mangu local government areas of the state following intelligence reports. The former member representing Ahoda East Constituency 2 at the River State House of Assembly, Edison Ehie, has withdrawn his suit against 25 of the 27 state lawmakers who defected to the APC from the PDP. And the Islamic State militant group has claimed responsibility for the 2 explosions that killed scores of people during the memorial of late Iranian top commander Qasem Soleimani. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night and please stay safe.